So we should be live in a sec, and we're live. Hey everyone again. I don't know if you missed me, probably not. I'm here with Jim Raptis. We're very happy to have him on board. Jim Raptis, I've been following Jim, his content, and for fellow Greeks, his name is also Dimitris. So I've been following Jim for quite a while now on Twitter, and his amazing content, and also his indie hackers journey. And I reached out to him, and I was like, listen, we're doing this event. We're going to have a bunch of makers. We're launching a product hunt. And I can't think of a better person to have on stage here and talk to us about, his learnings, his journey, and all the exciting projects he's working on. So, Jim, great to have you on stage.
Hello, everyone. Such a great introduction by Iraklis. I'm very glad to join in this event. The launch is going very well for now, and it can get even better. I believe that Balloon is a great app. So a little things about myself. I'm Jim. I started as a freelance designer when I was 19. I was in a college. I wanted some extra bucks to cover my expenses, so I used to design YouTube thumbnails for a while for $2 per thumbnail. It was a tough period, but yeah, we had to do sacrifices to move forward.
Another dollar, another day.
Exactly. Then I co-founded my first startup with 3 colleagues of mine, and that's when I started to work with web development and building web apps and websites. And on the side, I started building some small applications to help mainly designers and developers to do their job quicker. And that was how I got into indie hacking. Yeah. And for the last few months, I'm more actively into the indie hacking scene. I'm working almost full time to my side projects. And back in August, I earned my first money from these projects. These side projects, which is an amazing feeling for a maker or a creator or anyone, basically.
Yeah, there is something about it. It's like, you might get paid, like, I don't know how much, like, from your job, but the $5 or the $10 that you might actually make from something that you created from scratch, it just has a different feeling. It's very different. And
yeah, I've celebrated a lot more my first $9 as an indie hacker than my first full-time salary.
Nice. And are you on your way for like what they call ramen profitability?
Yes, that's my goal for 2021. Right now, I'm half my way. I have set a goal to $100 per month. And right now, my project's earning 50% of that goal. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, as I said, I've been a huge fan of your work on Twitter and Indie Hackers, and I've been following you closely. And as I said, like, you guys, by the way, you should check out, like, on Expo, not now, go after. Like, now we're just chatting here. You can check out on Expo the product hunt launch checklist, which is basically what we use to kind of craft our launch as well for product hunt, and also Magic Pattern, which is really cool app to create all these crazy geometrical patterns. So Jim, was your kind of indie hacking journey, were you the first customer of your apps? Like, was it a matter of a pain point that you had and you want to solve a problem for yourself, or what was the main kind of the first trigger?
Okay, that's a good question. Normally, I just spot a problem on my workflow as a designer or when I develop applications and jump into building a product. And then after a couple of weeks or months, I have a product and try to find the right audience to sell it. It's a good approach, but you lose valuable time, you lose your timing, and it takes a lot of more effort than it should be. So this time I took a different approach. I defined the audience that I want to tackle, and set some goals like it's an audience that can afford paying for an info product or anything basically, and then we start approaching the audience, try to find them where they are gathering in and chat with them, or if you're part of that audience, it's a lot better.
Yeah, you understand.
You can you can understand them better, and through that process you can understand what problems these people have, and then you build a product around that needs. So you have the audience who have a way to distribute your idea or your product, and you can build a product around their needs. So it's a more it's a better approach, and I'm very glad that I read the book from Arvid Kahl. Zero to Solve is a book.
Hopefully we might have Arvid on the event, actually. I don't know, he has registered for the event. If he shows up, here, and I mean he's
I want to thank him.
He's amazing. He's a legend. So hopefully we're going to get him, let's say if he's available, and we can talk about things. But what is your creative process? So is it when you start building something, do you have a specific, some people are very methodical and systematic about it, and they go almost like in surgical precision identifying pain points and opportunities. Others are more about the track of inspiration, in the shower, or while running or while walking or whatever. What type of creator are you? How do you come up with ideas?
I think it's a combination of these methods. I try to spot problems on my own workflow every day, and try to identify patterns that I can some patterns that I can reproduce with code and automate some processes. And if I think that's it's a good problem to be solved, so then I start market research, a simple process. I go to communities, talk with people that may be interested in with this idea, and try to learn more about their problems. And if I identify the problem I spotted in my own workflow, if I identify that problem to their workflow too, then probably it's a good fit to move forward. Another approach is to launch a pre-order campaign, basically without a product. You take an idea and you curate a compelling story around that idea, and you market it as a pre-order product. Then you bring that product in front of the audience, and you validate this idea by setting a sales limit. So if I sell 20 copies of that product, then it's probably a good idea to devote my time, actually build the product, and then distribute it further to a broader audience.
I think a lot of people, and even including myself at some point, there's periods where I'm bursting with ideas and I can't contain myself. And there's other periods where it feels like, I can't come up with anything. But I think there's a couple of tactics that even, let's say, for example, what Peter Level says, which is, if you want to come up with ideas, try something make yourself be in an environment that's completely new. If you always do the same things every day, it's just your brain is going to get so used to the things you do, then you won't observe any problems. Another one that I remember I've heard once from I don't remember which TED talk it was, but the speaker was talking about basically when you get an apple, like an actual apple, not a computer, back in the day, and they have those stickers, these really annoying stickers, and you have to peel off the sticker, and as you peel it off, usually you harm the skin of the apple, and the first time you get annoyed, the second time you get annoyed, and then you just get used to it and you just do it. That moment, the moment that you get used to a pain point, is the moment when a possible idea basically dies. Where it actually doesn't die, it just doesn't get born. That's the thing. And for me, kind of an idea generation process, if you will, is to just be more aware of pain points that are around me as if I were experiencing them for the first time. because this is how you can actually identify what are the mechanics that make this a pain point. But yeah, it's pretty much similar to what you describe as well. And an interesting thing that you mentioned is that you go and talk to the audience that is that this solution is intended for. And I think a lot of people talk about it. They talk about like, yeah, you have to talk to your customers and like you have to ask people. But when it comes to actually doing it, there's not much. I mean, there is information out there, but I'm not talking about massive researches from like consulting groups and all that. I'm talking about Jim, me, Ray, anyone like who starts something small. How do you go about talking to someone? Like how do you usually do it? Is it like you first find when they hang out and you just reach out by cold outreach, or what have you seen? And
for me, it worked to go to communities, search for relevant terms based on my idea. For example, for magic pattern, I can search background or pattern, and then spot on some conversations that going on around the topic, and start DMing these users. So send them a message. I saw that you said that in this conversation. Would you like to elaborate more? And let's kick in a conversation with the user, and later you can jump on a call to discuss further details. Also a great place is Twitter. Twitter has almost every kind of professional, and you can find anyone. And right now it's the best era to conduct even top specialists of topics or on any topic, and you just need a cold email or message to kick in a conversation and either learn more market research insights or even start a friendship. And
I think people underestimate how people are actually willing to get back to you if you ask them a question about something that is relevant to them. And as long as you're not spammy or like creepy or in whatever way, every time I've reached out to people like genuinely and I want to either understand what the problem is, they always get back to you. And I know it might seem a bit scary in the beginning. You might feel like how would I message someone like out of the blue? But it's not at all like that. And I would encourage everyone, if they haven't gone through that process, to actually try it. It's very important to tap into conversations. One thing that for me, being an engineer, was a bit like not counterintuitive, but I would say like a bit frustrating in the beginning, is how much of this process is very manual and you can't really scale it. You can't scale that conversation. You just have to tap into all these micro conversations and have these discussions. And there's a lot of kind of signals, a lot of important signals that you get out of these conversations. And I think people, tend to forget that you can't just, reach out to like 10,000 people. You wouldn't even get important, information if you did it.
Yeah, and most people are like, hey, I'm X and I want this. Buy my product or upvote my product or anything. That's not how you build a relationship with people. If you want to build an audience or to start a meaningful relationship and learn things about the other person, you have to add value to the conversation, and that's very important. And many people miss that point, and they just send a message, and if it doesn't work, they stop and say, it's very difficult. I want to do it again. And as you said, the most important point is to do it. Just do it one time, 2, 3, and then you will understand that it's not difficult, or you don't bothering anyone. Both of you.
I mean, it's also a numbers game, and it's very much it's a matter of discipline. You have to really show up. It's easy to do it, once, twice, and like you don't hear back, and you just get discouraged, and you just don't do it again, or you think like, you know what, this is never going to work. But as long as you do it repeatedly and you get better at it, and obviously, at the same time trying to build an audience, eventually you will get there. So it's very important. I think this is one of the mistakes that we make in the beginning, when we expect every single quote unquote bullet that we fire to actually find its target. It's not going to happen in this way. So what are some of the other kind of learnings, or even like mistakes you've made in the past that you've learned from, and now you take a different approach?
So I was struggling to speak to other people. I was afraid that I wouldn't speak with my English are not good, or I will not add value to their lives. So many times I hesitated to kick in a conversation or ask for feedback or help from people. And I understand that all these are not important. If you add value to a person, and you know how to help him or her, they are gonna listen to you. They are gonna appreciate your words and your suggestions. So that's a big. That's the biggest action I take recently in my hacking journey.
What about like with your engineering background? Like, for example, myself, one of the biggest mistakes is like over engineering things and building a spaceship where like all I need is a bicycle. What are some of these pitfalls that you've fallen in as an engineer?
Yeah, that's another good question, because I used to over-engineer everything, and because I'm a designer too, I used to over-design everything too. So I had exactly, perfectionist, and I was afraid to launch applications that hadn't yet a slick design or had some bugs. So I was keeping these projects for myself. I never shared them in the public, and eventually stopped working because of the lack of motivation and motivation,
of course,
mostly. And to be honest, I was at that point just 1 week before launching Magic Pattern on Product Hunt last August. I was about to leave it as it is and move to another project. And then I had a transformative moment, and I said, no, you're gonna launch it next Tuesday, and you're gonna fix bugs or build a landing page until then. And if you don't build it, you're gonna launch it anyway. It's not a problem. The worst it's gonna happen is that people won't see it, or just leave a bad comment. And in the end, I launched the application. It was my most successful launch so far in Product Hunt. And I got my first customers, almost 30 new customers from I went. And it was a moment that I understood that you don't need to have a perfect product or app to succeed. You just need a valuable solution.
Exactly. And having said that, I mean, Magic Pattern is already like super slick. I mean, it would have been an absolute shame if you hadn't launched this to the world. It's like it's really beautifully done.
Thank you very much. Now it is. Back then it wasn't that much.
So what it is that you've I've read this article that you posted the other day about the Product Hunt launch checklist. I'm a bit slow. So what is it that you did differently with this one? What kind of approach you took?
It was the first time I shifted from a product first approach to an audience first approach. So instead of building the product and then jumping in Reddit and IndieHackers and Twitter to promote it to people. I reached out to people at first. I launched a pre-order campaign with Gumroad, which is a perfect tool for no-code makers. And I said, give me $9 to serve you this product, this checklist. And this is not ready yet, but you're going to have a great discount when compared to the final price. So people actually bought it, and I was able to talk to them and learn how they were imagined the product. At first, I was thinking to build a web app and create a neat application to have to check your tips and your process toward your launch. And while talking to users, I understood that people don't care about this kind of stuff. People care to launch their product successfully and do it quickly. So that was a moment I decided to not even use my engineering skills and just focus on providing real value to people, and use another no-code tool, Airtable, which is basically an Excel table, and focus on providing these, finding and curating tips and polishing them from my own perspective and experience with Rodahan, and offer them a product that's valuable and not well designed or well engineered.
When I first got hold of the checklist, I was like, wow. I mean, this is exactly what you need. You don't need like a fancy web app. It was more than enough. And with my engineering mind as well, I would have gone into great lengths of building something scalable with high availability and Dockerized and I don't know what. Where all you need is basically an Airtable is more than enough, basically.
It's very easy to go into that rabbit hole and over engineer everything.
Trust me. So what would you say is your okay, so let me put it in a different way. So I guess when you build a product, it's a bit like when you, I think Ray is gonna like this. There's a new analogy. When you build a product, it's a bit like when you record an album. If you're a band, right? When you record an album, you have your own perception of which song you think is going to be a hit, and many times it's not the one you were expecting. I was even listening, I think, to an interview from. So I'm a big rock fan. I think I was listening to an interview from the Foo Fighters, I think, and I think Dave Grohl was saying that the song that is basically their biggest hit ever long, it's not something that he didn't even think it's going to be a hit, right? And the guy has written hundreds of songs. So in your case, with the launch, with a checklist, or even with Magic Pattern, what were the things that you thought were going to be the absolute hits, and were you right, or it ended up being something else?
So that's a very good question, and I really like the analogy because it was on point again. So I think the biggest, as I said, mistake I made was to over-engineer everything at first and try to build the perfect app before speaking to real users. Another point that was mistaken, and I understand that now, is that I set the price really low for my audience. I should set the higher price at first and then move it down, which is a basic mistake most of makers make. Yeah, we underprice our work, and it's hard to go the other way, raise the price and raise the price. So that was a big mistake with the checklist, and to move in with Magic Pattern, I had the big misunderstanding that mainly designers will use the product, and I target all my marketing efforts, all my copies, all my product development toward that direction. And when the first customers came, I understood that the audience is a little bit different. It's a tool mainly for non-designers to do to create graphics without the hassle of hiring a professional or learning how to do the basic stuffs. So that shifted all my business logic and activities to another direction. So it's crucial to speak to your customers and understand what they want, because many times you're in your own zone and you cannot understand what's really valuable to your audience and to your people.
With a checklist, which one did you think was going to be the killer tip, and which one ended up being the most popular?
Unfortunately, I cannot measure which is the most
in terms
popular.
of feedback. I mean, if you've heard feedback from people, yeah.
But I think the specifics for the format of images and logos was a very simple addition, but it helped many people because you don't have to go to Product Hunt or their help page to figure out what dimensions to use for your logos. You just open the checklist and check this cell to see it. Before launching, I thought that my tools will be the killer feature, because I curated the most useful tools for a launch. But it ended up to a whole different thing.
I know. So cool. So going back to the topic we touched upon a bit earlier, which is like, basically, being a bit more humble, if you will, or a bit more skeptical about launching a product, which is something we've all gone through. I think, most makers have a directory folder, which is like a graveyard of unfinished projects, and we can all empathize with that. And I think one of the reasons why that happens, and I've been, I've fallen into the same trap, and sometimes I still do as well, is that we tend to associate our self-worth with the product that we build. And because the product that you build, if you're a small team, it's very much, you, to a great extent, you are the one impacted that. You're not part of a 20,000 people company where, you can just be part of the company, and if something goes wrong, it's the company, it's not just you. How do you tackle that, and how do you have any specific kind of mindset approach that you're taking?
When I used to build my project as side projects, it was easier to fall in love with them and work with them for months before launching, because I had a stable job, and basically it was a side hustle. I just do it for fun. But when you are full-time on indie hacking, you actually live from this project, so you cannot build a product for 3 months in secret and then just launch it. Wait to have 1 million customers in a day and cover your expenses. You have to move quickly and new features and everything. So what changed for my mindset was that I believe that you have to you need to have a perfect product to launch and succeed, but that's not the case. The case is to validate that there is a need and then build a product around that need. So my new approach is to launch not so perfect product, not so mature products, have imperfections in your flow, because to be honest with ourselves, the first launch will not be you will not launch the perfect product. You will iterate on it and add new additions to the product based on customer feedback. So it doesn't need to be perfect. So it's better to move quicker than lose your time and your motivation, because motivation is very important when you're a solo founder.
Would you say? Sorry, please go ahead. Would you say that is it better for like someone who is now starting his own kind of his or her own indie hacking journey to fully kind of invest in the products that they build in terms of like revenue generation, or is it better to kind of not expect this from the products that they build and keep them as what you said as kind of a side project, and instead kind of follow the more mercenary, if you will, approach of taking projects as a freelancer, so that you don't put all this pressure on the things that you love? Do you think this is a better approach, or you think that is a distraction?
Yeah, that's definitely the best approach. To be more clear, I believe that you have to continue your full-time job or your freelancing career, and on the side build some side projects. And when you find a great opportunity, you're pretty confident that this project is going to evolve into something very, very good and can sustain yourself. Then only at that point you need to move full time on your product. And when you freelancing as I'm doing right now, and for the last couple of months, it's easier because it's just like another side project. But there is a point, for sure, there is a point in your indie hacking career that you need to focus to a single product and put all your efforts into that. But it's you need to be sure that that's the best product.
Yeah, and I think actually in most cases, it's not a matter of like you need to be sure. It's like it comes to a point that you can't ignore it. Like when you have traction, you know it. It's when you don't have it, it's like is it growing the way it should be or not? Probably it's not if you're thinking about it. But yeah, I fully agree with you that it's best to not put all that pressure on something that you build with love, because you're going to end up hating it if it doesn't give you back what you expect of it. And not just that, but I think also from working on other things as well, you can still learn new things that you apply and bring back to your project, and the other way around. Like I've been, this has happened for me like multiple times where like I'm always hacking something on the side. And there have been many times where the thing that I'm building on the side, I actually bring that expertise back to my kind of day job, or the other way around. And that's the beauty of it. It gives you more angles, more kind of perspectives and vantage points to be a better builder and maker, I think.
Yeah, that's very important, what you said about learning stuff on your side project and then bring them into your main full-time work or freelancing career. When I was working full-time for my startup, I developed many new product releases and features because of ideas that I got through my side projects. So I benefit both me and my professional career.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a bit conscious of time because I know it's sorry, you I stopped you, but you froze for me. Can you hear me now?
No, it's okay.
Sorry,
it's
I
okay.
couldn't hear anything, so it froze.
Yeah.
I thought you stopped. Sorry, I stopped you.
It's okay. It's okay. I stopped.
So I was saying I'm a bit conscious of time because I know like we have 2 minutes left, and I really want people to go and check out your booths and like Magic Pattern and the checklist. Yeah,
That
definitely. Do you guys have any questions for Jim or for myself? Anything on the chat? Let me have a quick look. Always have a side hustle. Yeah, Daniel. Good to see you, Daniel. Daniel is a very good friend of mine from way back. So, any questions, guys, for us? Anything you would like to ask myself and Jim? Cool. Any closing thoughts from you, Jim? Any tips or advice for other aspiring people, aspiring builders and makers?
I think the most important thing to have in mind is to never hesitate to launch your products or share your ideas, because there are millions of people around the world, and for sure there are some people who are gonna be interested about your products, and you should always treat yourself well at the same time. Working 16 hours per day is not healthy, and if you don't treat yourself well, no one will do. So treat yourself well and launch
Exactly.
products.
You heard it here first. It's an exclusive, balloon exclusive. Cool. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the stage, and
Me too. I really enjoyed
same
our
here.
conversation.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what you have for us on the expo. So I'm going to see you all there. And for now, we're going to just break out. We're going to go to the expo. We're going to do a bit of networking, and then we have our panel, which we have some good discussions there as well for you. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.